Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, and hopefully a few future Momrads. Hey, I'm Littlefinger, today doing a full tank review on the KV-1. This is a Russian Tier 5 heavy tank, super fun to drive, good armor, pretty good gun, can bully, certainly at top tier, and I think a tank that you want to own and hold on to and play quite frequently. Real quick, let's take a look at the tech tree, show you where this tank goes. You can see we're down there bottom left, KV1. You can actually go through the KV1S, KV13 up to the T43, out to the T62 and the Object 140. Obviously, those then go into a medium tank. Certainly fun to drive. T44 and 54 are great tanks. Obviously, you see a lot of people with both the 62A and the Object 140 at Tier 10. Also, you can drop down into the KV2 with this big old derp gun, which then goes into the IS3, IS8, IS7. Got a little bit more mobility with these tanks. They do run a little bit faster than the line below, which has a little bit more armor. So you get into the T150, KV3, KV4, which is horribly slow but amazing armor. The STI and the IS4. And right now I would say the IS4 is my favorite Tier 10 heavy tank. So I would recommend going down either the IS7 or IS4 line. A lot of people do have issues with the IS8 because it doesn't really play like the other tanks there. It plays more like a medium than a heavy. So looking at a setup real quick, running my usual consumables, repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Provisions, I am running improved fuel, protective kit, and extra combat rations. Ammunition, only 15 rounds of APCR there, 11 rounds of HE, which leaves me 50 rounds of AP. And don't forget, you can buy your premium ammunition there with credits, 2,800 a round. Equipment. This is one of the few Tier 5 tanks that I do recommend spending some spare parts on. So with that being said, level 1, I am running a gun rammer to increase our rate of fire. And that is over our calibrated shells. I think this tank has got good penetration numbers already, so let's increase our rate of fire. Vitality. Choosing that for protection to the engine. Do get a lot of engine fires in this tank, so we'll do what we can to protect that versus the enhanced cabin. And since I run the protective kits, I can heal my crew members with that, so I use the protected modules. Improved optics, gonna run that over the camouflage net. Obviously we are typically frontline in this tank, so camo net's not going to do us much good, so we'll get our view range up to 252. Now I am running the enhanced gun laying drive. One of the negatives with this tank is the aim time is second worst as far as the heavies go, I think just to the T1. But so we'll try to improve that over supercharge. The tank's got really good armor up front, so I'm going to increase that by 5%. Well, I think we get more out of it than just adding 40 hit points. So running enhanced armor. And then I am running the improved control, which is going to add 2.3 to our traverse. Get that up to 28 degrees per second, which is fairly slow. Obviously, this is a heavy tank, so we can't expect too much there. Now, if I were going to move into Tier 3, I would go with the vertical stabilizer and get that aim time down just a little bit further. Enhanced tracks over the toolbox, and then consumable delivery system over high-end consumables. Alright guys, so looking at this tank, you'll see there are a lot of modules for you to upgrade. All I can say is be patient. It's well worth it once you finally get this tank fully equipped. And you can see here 56 reduction in horsepower. There's a 56 horsepower difference between the tier 4 and the tier 6. That's a 15% difference. So you will definitely see the difference once you get that fully equipped. I run the 85 millimeter gun. I see people running the 57 millimeter, which has a very high rate of fire and only does 90 damage. I don't like this gun just because you have to be exposed quite frequently to get that many shots off, and it has a little bit less penetration value. The other is I see people running this 122 millimeter. I hate that. Just because your penetration numbers are horrible. Yeah, it's nice to see if you can get 450 damage, but you're not going to get that frequently because you're not going to be fully penetrating these tanks to get that amount. So you're just going to be getting splash damage. So that is why I run with the 85 millimeter gun. Alright guys, here's our KV1 in the blitzhanger.com website. I recently found this site. It's very clean. It's got a lot of good information, so I just wanted to share it with you. I'll run through this pretty quickly because a lot of it's duplicate when I compare it to the other heavies at tier 5. So you can see we've got it set up with the provisions and equipment, and just taking a look at the green numbers here as far as firepower. This is why this is a tank that I recommend you keep in your garage and you play it frequently. So looking real quick at the differences here, the 57 millimeter, there's not a whole lot of difference in damage per minute, but you see those penetration numbers go down. And so with a much higher rate of fire, 21 rounds per minute, you've got to be exposed much more. So that's why I like to run the 85 millimeter. Just moving down real quick here, things to note are gun depression is only 7 degrees. It's kind of middle of the pack there. Mobility is not that great in this tank, as far as the fact that it is obviously a heavy tank with some good armor, so you can expect it not to be that mobile. Taking a look at the armor profile here, you can see some darker red there at the front and on the turret, which is why I recommend playing this tank hull down. You can see there from the front some red on the sides. So, and that frontal armor there is sloped quite a good bit, so you do get quite a few bounces with this tank. As far as tactics, I found this kind of interesting from this website. You would look at this and not think that this is a great tank, but they're saying average for frontline and average for 1v1. So obviously you can't circle or death because it's so slow. Again, hit and run, not really recommended because you're so slow. Horrible dispersion, so obviously long range sniping is out. I would say this tank's pretty good at peekaboom, certainly side scraping, and I'll show you some of that in some gameplay after I compare this tank to the other heavies at tier 5. Alright, so here we are on BlitzStar's tank compare. KV1 on the left, BDR, French heavy, VK3001H, the German heavy, the Churchill 1, the UK heavy, and the T1, the US heavy. So if we go down damage per minute, we are right there at the top with the T1. If you look at the penetration, it is a little bit lower than the rest of these tanks, but our alpha is close to the top, so we're doing 200 damage there. 85 millimeter gun, obviously, and our shell velocity is right in line with the other ones. Again, another reason why this tank is not a good sniper. You look at the aim time, 2.63 seconds is the worst by far of these tanks, so keep that in mind. You want to play this tank obviously close up to your enemies. Dispersion 0.38 is just about the worst there with the T1, not much difference there. 7 degrees of negative gun depression. Only the Churchill with 4 is worse. So, on paper, this tank is not looking that great. We're moved down to mobility, 34 kilometers per hour. It's kind of what you'd expect out of a heavy. Our terrain resistance is just okay. So again, mobility is not great either. But the interesting thing is, as you move down into the credit coefficients here, you're only getting 105%, which is obviously next to lowest behind the T1. Hit points is just a little bit on the low side compared to all the ones, but the one stat that stands out is this hull armor and turret armor. At 75 and 110, it blows away all of the other tanks outside of Churchill hull. But so you combined all of that where the stats aren't that much worse than these other heavies, but the armor is way better. So you look at these 90-day averages, and this kind of blew me away. I never thought that it would be this different. So you can see win rate there with the 62.7 is the highest, and a lot of red over there, meaning that the KV1 is by far and away the best tank as far as tier 5 heavies go. And look at the number of players there, 4,000. The next closest is the BDR at 2,000. So keep these numbers in mind. Average damage 957, average kills 1.25, and shoot to exceed those numbers. So here's the first game. As bottom tier, I always like to show how this tank can handle itself against the top tiers. Got a couple heavies, KV1S, KV2, and obviously myself. I'm not sure which way everyone's going here yet. Looks like maybe left, maybe a middle push. So I'm just going to mosey on into the middle of the map here. And you can see they've popped out on the other side. We'll get one really lucky shot there. And now I am going to get myself angled, and you can see take only 17 damage. Must have been a heat shot into my tracks there. KV1's going to push around, and you can see here early a little bit of the frustration with the aim time and missing shots. We don't do any damage on that KV. I'm just showing him my tracks. There's the VK, and we totally go under him. So we've already missed 2 easy shots, so we should have had some points on. But you can see how I've angled, kind of side scraping off of that rock there. We'll get a shot into the VK. And we've got a little bit of a window here, so might as well keep exploiting it while we can. But now it looks like those tanks have pushed on, so time to get into the action. Obviously this has been a good team. We're up 3 tanks already. You notice here the Kuro is headed this way, and he's angled, so he's got some good armor there. Of course, we don't penetrate on that shot, so that's the 3rd shot we've taken that hasn't done damage. We probably could have switched over to AP on that last one as he drove past us. So we lost out on a few hit points there, and get a nice shot into the KV1S, and that poor VK there bounced, got stuck, and got taken out by the KV2. There's only 2 tanks left. Just missed his lower plate there and tracked him. I was a little bit concerned here with the Kuro, but he is obviously engaged the other way. And this KV1S is my primary target right now. And you can see here, even being a tier above us, We can easily put shots AP into that lower plate, and we'll just come in here for the final shot. We do end up with a kill. So as bottom tier, we still managed to do 1721 in damage. Was good for a level 2. This next clip is just part of a game on Winter Melanovka here. You can see bottom tier again. And we've pushed through the middle. They've all gone heavy alley. It's not a great video for me actually landing shots, but what I wanted to just show you is how effective this tank can be if you side scrape well. You can see there I've already deflected 2 shots. We'll take one from the T-37, but we'll finish him off. And you can just see how I am angled off of this side of this building here. Block another shot, it goes into our tracks. So we'll repair that and get a shot off on that KV. So you know, I might not have done a lot of damage in this game. We did end up winning it, but I did take a lot of shots. So if you're taking shots for your team, that means that your teammates aren't getting shot there. So you can see a little bit of the gun accuracy missing on that shot. But just find a nice building to get angled off of, and basically what you're trying to do is just hide that lower plate. This game is on mines as top tier. I am going to instruct everyone, hey, let's go hill. And one of the things that I've been trying to do a little bit lately, especially when spawning on this south side, is to push far to the left. I find it gets me out of the way of the TDs. I get shots into the mine. You can see here the toaster bounces that first shot. We'll switch over to HE and get 250. He's going to have a hard time hiding behind that rock, and he bounces another shot, 293. And we just missed that shot there. A little bit of a rock that I didn't see sticking up was the same color as his tank. The M4 here has pushed all the way around, trying to decide if I need to be concerned about him just yet. And we see this T-67 come in here, and he will run straight into me. Not a very smart move for a T-67. So we do get one shot on the M4 there, and we can see that they've got a couple guys that have flanked around the long way. It's never really a good strategy in my opinion. Get a shot into the side of that KV, and just note how I am trying to always keep this tank angled to my opponent. I don't want to be straight on. Obviously that's how you improve the effective armor. So you see here I'm angled, he bounces. KV does not bounce, however. And they've got a few tanks down here. Just barely missed that shot, but see how I'm lined up with the side of this rock here, trying to keep the lower plate protected, and I get another bounce. So now we're just waiting for that T1 to maybe make a mistake. I don't want to push too far. DW comes rushing across. Sometimes I wonder about these guys. Put a shot into the side of the T1, and we are backing up. The 177 damage from the KV. He's obviously switched over to APCR, and unfortunately we duff that shot into the bottom tracks. Again, just trying to be patient, seeing that T1's turning a little bit. You can see I've got my turret over that front left corner of the tank. It's kind of where you want to try to keep it, if at all possible. And it's even better when you can hide that lower plate. We block another shot. And again, that KV. So you can see we have done a really good job in this game of angling and just blocking shots. And that's really, in my opinion, why this tank is OP, overpowered in the tier, and why so many people play it, and why it's a keeper at this tier 5 heavy. 2337 damage, and that's only good for level 1, 3 kills. Here's a game on Yamato Harbor that I had to pull out of the archives, but thought this was a very good game. Obviously, we've got a Triari platoon on the other side, so we've got some good competition here. So we are going to go right. And we'll see how aggressively they push forward. Not sure how you bounce off the back of a Leo, but it is possible. So our guy has pushed way too far and been taken out early. My platoon mate there is looking like he might be in some trouble with not much support with him, so I'm going to try to get over there as fast as I can. So here we come. There's the Ram. We take a good shot off on him. Reloading, and I see this Leo pushing around the corner. We'll take him out. And just being mindful here of map awareness, really. We've taken care of the outside threats. Looks like there's some guys in the middle having some issues here with gun depression. But because I know the outside's clear, I can push up to this rock, and we'll start putting some shots in from here. Drop adrenaline, just because we've got several targets. And this is a really nice little hold down spot here. Basically, we're just showing that top of the turret. Churchill's gonna bounce. And getting unlucky here. We've just bounced a couple shots off the Reds. We probably shouldn't have. But we are down a tank at this point in time. And I'm sure we're frustrating that Churchill because he keeps bouncing at us. And see the T1. This is map awareness here. He's pushing on us. And so I can turn an angle towards him. Hide as much as that lower plate as possible. And he's going to bounce another shot. He really didn't give me an opportunity to get a good shot in there, so I can back up, and this Churchill's moving in on us, so can go ahead and put a shot into him. And I know that T1 was going to shoot me, but I wanted to go ahead and get rid of the Churchill. Now we can angle back to the T1. We are down a tank still. And again, just trying to keep angle towards this T1. Trying to help out the my last remaining player here, and he manages to finish off the T1. But here comes Hetzer, and now it's just me against two. Having problems there with our gun depression. Luckily, he'll back into it. So now that Hetzer is just a one-shot. And that VK is showing his side. It's a big no-no. VK's got some nice armor, but not from the side. So finish him off. We've got 4 kills. definitely on our way to a 5th. Just got to find out where that Hetzer went. There he is. We'll take our time, make sure we get aimed in there, and finish him off. So it was a fun game, good competition. Those are the kind of games I really like to see, not these lopsided 7-0 victories. You can see there 22-33 damage, 5 kills. And the Triari platoon was at the top there as well. Yeah, both 60 win rate players. So good battle there. That was fun. Castilla, top tier. We've got mostly all mediums and lights, so I am going to swing around and follow them. Looks like their Leo pushed really hard into the middle here. We'll get a nice shot into him. We're staying behind this bush, so we can't be seen. You can see he's backing up somewhere in there. So we take a shot. Covenanter's down there now. Our Chaffee looks like he's probably taking a few too many shots here, so I'm going to try to push up in front of him, keep him in the game a little bit longer. Wait for this horrendously long aim time, and you can see how I angle towards the buildings. I'm just going to wait to reload, and then I'm going to push across the bridge. That's that Leo taking some shots at me. You can see about half of them bounced. So we're going to continue to push, try to get him spotted. Not sure why he is still sitting there. I would be using my speed to get out of there. And you can see here, does about 117 damage, which is about half, maybe under half of what a normal roll for a Leo would be. And there's the Matilda. You can see blocking another shot. It's what this tank does really, really well. See if we can't get another shot. Yep. Into the Matilda. He's looking the other way. Gonna back up behind this building. And T1 is coming through heavy here. Way too aggressive. So we're gonna drop adrenaline, try to get him out. And we get him down to 1 hit point there. See the Hetzer there. Get a shot in, just a blind shot, and it still hit. You can see how far off that shot was from where I was aiming, but luckily it still did damage. I'm going to speed it up here because we are going to climb up the hill. There's 3 of us left. I've seen that one of the guys there is headed to Cap Circle, so I knew he would get that reset. We'll miss that shot on the DW. But we see the Matilda's going to just push right on through. We'll go ahead and finish him off. And get a couple shots here and on the DW. And finish this game off for the win. Top tier here. You can see 25-43 on the damage. 2 kills. It was a level 2. Just did just about all the damage for our team there. So anyway, that's what you can do in this tank and why it is so popular. So I hope you guys found this full tank review beneficial. If nothing else, really learn how to angle your tank, how to side scrape in it, and you will certainly do a lot better. Be patient with that aim time, and like I said, this is a tank that is a keeper. So start equipping it out and have some fun in this tank. As always, guys, have fun out there. Stay safe. Get educated. Not fingered. Littlefinger out.